We don't have Knights or Rusty. I know the two people most want to hear from. Sorry, but we have excellent substitutions who stepped up to the plate to step in. We have Stephen Isles and SoCal.
Well, who said that excellent? I didn't think excellent was one of the criteria.
Yeah, I didn't either at all.
Well, in off-track standards.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. We're good then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. We're good,
I'm
Steven.
down.
What did Off Track have standards anyway?
They're yeah, they're set pretty low. I gotta turn off my ringer here. Okay.
So are you guys going to play the Blink game tonight or?
Oh,
That depends. We're having difficulty with the call forwarding. If we can get the call forwarding fixed, then we will. But right now, that is in limbo. That is the one thing that somebody can be able to work on behind the scenes. That I'll let you know what I find out on my end. So
oh, okay. Rusty has the.
he's got the phone number for that. He can forward it over to me so that I can handle the calls and field the calls, but there's difficulty getting the forwarding carried over for some reason.
Okay, I gotcha. So we will, even if you don't have any stories, let's just chat about what's going on. What's going on in your life? What's going on anywhere? We just try to stay away from religion and politics unless it's something really good, I guess.
Well, if we're going to chat about what's going on in our lives, I got to have a life first, and that might be a problem.
But yeah,
Yeah.
anything cool that you heard or anything? Just when the music starts, just don't talk over the music. That's all we ask. No F bombs, no GD, blah blah blah.
I'm going to get my computer.
Unless it's really good. I think Beth said, like, if you're gonna drop an F bomb, as long as
Do
it's
you
appropriate.
hear the music?
No,
No.
No?
no, we don't hear the music.
Well, being that you all only heard about half of the intro, that would be because the dumb guy running backup over here did not properly share the audio from the backing track so that you'd be able to hear it properly. So, yeah, you can blame that on me. We're running almost half staff, and we got replacements that are trying to fill in here. So, you may have to bear with us. We don't know. This might be. It's definitely a break from the normal. So we'll see if it's for the better or the worse or something. Maybe.
You might be half staff, but I'm half mast. Just so you know.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Are you equipped to do that?
Well, yeah, I was in the Navy.
Never mind.
didn't you know?
Don't answer that question if you are. I don't want to know about it. We'll just call it good. Okay.
So, introducing our excellent stand-ins, Mr. Stephen Isles, Miss SoCal, standing in for the Lugnuts and the Knights tonight. And
Which one of you are lug nuts and which one of you are knights?
oh yeah,
I'm lug nuts because I'm
You're-
wearing the sunglasses.
There you go.
so puts a lot of pressure on Stephen to be clever and witty and monotone.
I'll try to say knee as much as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going to be rusty lug nuts, all you got to do is just sit back and not hardly say squat and just kind of push on and right. I mean, he never does anything, does he?
Oh my God,
No. What? Yes. Maybe.
Wait,
we miss you, Rusty.
I'll show you my hat.
Yeah. No,
He-
Rusty does a lot of squat. He does tons of squat.
Does he now?
Is it squat or is it something else? Or are we legally allowed to talk about this, or will this get him in trouble?
That's opening up a can of worms or a Pandora's box. Whatever you want to open.
Pandora's got nothing to do with this. Her and her box, I think, is a separate issue.
Whoa.
I don't have
Whoa.
my big bell. I only got a
Well-
little one.
Oh my
it's,
gosh.
it's
I
too
went looking
cute.
for a bell, but I couldn't find one.
It's too cute to
That's
be an
funny.
innuendo
My
bell.
big be- my there you
Whoa.
go. My big bell is at home. I am on the road, and we're not just on the road where I'm not at my studio. We got the fallout at
We
the
got the-
most convenient time whenever whenever
I
yeah,
have
I
a
don't
bell.
even have half the tools to work with.
I have a bell, but I'll wait till the break to go get it.
Okay. I just found it. I found my OG Doc Thompson autographed bell. Found it. Thanks, Doc. My
I'm gonna
ding-a-ling
make
is
sure the sound isn't on this. Okay.
So anyway,
yes.
being that we're supposed to be talking about what's been going on in our lives and everything, since I really don't have much of a life, what have you all been doing here recently?
I have been making those prizes for those who were the blank game winners. So stay tuned for that, winners. That's SoCal. Yeah, what are you guys going up? What have you guys been up to? Anything new? Anything exciting other than fall? The autumn is here.
Yes, isn't that lovely? I broke out. I'm breaking out my Halloween stuff. I'm gonna start decorating. That's exciting.
It is.
I
don't think you can overdo Halloween decorations. Personally, that's me.
I have so many. It's ridiculous because my brother was a huge fan of hey, Whiskey Wisdom. There's another thing that's new. My brother had so many Halloween decorations. He loved it. And I'm not that into Halloween, but my kids were, and now they all moved out. So I'm stuck with all this Halloween stuff. And I'm like, what am I going to do? That's another thing I wanted to say real quick. Whiskey Wisdom is in the chat. I recently joined his, I went on to his Zoom. That was the craziest night ever.
Really? I don't even know. Who is he?
Okay, so it's
Whiskey.
Go ahead, Kinsey.
Go ahead, SoCal. No, you've done actual listening on this. You're better, more authority on this subject than I am right now.
Well, it's new to me. Rusty likes it. He I believe his name is Matt, and he does a YouTube podcast going over different types of whiskeys and bourbons, and they try different things. And he has this whole show. It's really cool, a fun game he had involved some news about bourbons and whiskeys, and he had a guest on that, I think I've only watched one, so I'm assuming he does a guest once in a while that does these tours. So they talk about that, and they have this whole community. It's really cool. But at the end of the show, they did kind of an after show with Zoom, and Rusty went on, and when Rusty went off, they invited me in. So I kind of pour them. Listen, they had to deal with me. You all know me, so pour them.
Wow, that's exciting. So they talk about just whiskey, or whiskey and bourbon, or
whiskey and bourbon, and they went over some light whiskeys. They even talked about some scotches. So, I mean, feel free, Whiskey Wisdom, to throw some information in the chat. I ended up subscribing to his channel because it was really interesting. I'm not a whiskey drinker or a bourbon drinker, but they actually got me interested in maybe wanting to try some. So it was a lot of fun. Well, it was a lot of fun. So,
Whiskey Wisdom, he is in the chat. I have my dad sent me a bottle of Lafroig, and I have not opened it yet. But I do believe I have 1 square foot of property now.
Hey.
In Scotland, I think.
Nice.
Yes. I mean, I like Jameson. I've been to the Jameson distillery in Ireland, and that was so cool. It was really cool.
Oh, God, that sounds cool. How was Ireland? Is it what we read about in the books, or is it a little crazier?
So the mistake I made, this was a long time ago. This is 2007, but I went to Dublin on St. Patrick's Day because I was living in Italy at the time, and I went to Dublin on St. Patrick's Day. So I think this statistic, I'm not sure of this number, but if I remember correctly, 250,000 Irish people leave Ireland when it's St. Patrick's Day because there's so many Americans and English that come in there.
Oh my gosh.
So I
that's
mostly
crazy.
mingled, except for the business owners that I interacted with. It was mostly English and Americans for the most part. But it was beautiful. It was an amazing experience. But I have to say, you're gonna get, if you like St. Patrick's Day, you're gonna get a bigger celebration in Boston or New York.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that. Boston for sure.
But it was fun,
Lots of the fire and
it was one time it really sucked to be a girl because that's one thing I remember about being in Dublin. On St. Patrick's Day night, couldn't find a place to pee anywhere. Everything was so packed.
oh no.
Are you saying that you have other challenges for peeing that guys don't normally have?
Well, now I solved that problem, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I used to. It was before I discovered the shiwi.
Shiwi?
Yeah, the shiwi.
Oh, the shiwi. You guys have talked about that before.
Yeah.
I seen something that's probably very similar that I remember seeing advertised was another item that was called the Go Girl.
Oh, that I started out with that. That was my first.
That was your first?
That was the first, yeah. That broke me in, kind of, or whatever. I would practice in the backyard, to make sure I, got the movement right, like around the garden.
L.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but the shiwi, it looks like a little canoe, and
Kind of like a funny shaped funnel, basically, isn't it?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
That
I have
sounds
used it on road trips before. You ever get stuck on 95 in New York City traffic, or something? If it's an emergency, we are prepared.
We are prepared.
Yes, I used to
Just
take a
know
lot of
that.
road trips, and that would really worry me. I mean, I have kidney issues from the time I was a baby, so when I gotta go, it's important to go. I have 3 kidneys and all that stuff, so it's fun.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I only got 2, but I mean a couple of them ended up getting a little bit stoned here a couple of years ago, and that was not an enjoyable experience.
Oh, wait a minute. I was just gonna say I can't picture you on drugs or being stoned, but now I'm wondering, was it kidney stones?
Yes.
Oh, ouch, dude! I am so sorry. I heard
is
that
the
hurts.
that's the only thing that I've ever left the house for from at like 2:00 in the morning on a Sunday to go to the ER. About anything else, I could wait until there's like a walk-in clinic that I can get something scheduled or anything like. No, there was no way. I held out as long as I could on that, and I just could not handle it anymore. And I woke my wife up and said, we gotta go. I can't do this. And man, I couldn't even hardly keep still while I was over there. They went ahead and stuck me an MRI machine and everything, and then I had to sit back and wait until they were able to tell just exactly what was going on before they give me anything.
I heard that was awful.
Yeah.
Painful.
Finally, whenever they figured out it was kidney stones, then they was able to give me some morphine. I was so grateful. So
Oh my gosh.
Raise your hand if you
Oh.
want to see Kinsey on morphine.
That would be
Well, it
kind
was
of
just-
fun.
that was the second time I was on morphine. The first time I was on morphine, my wife was depending on me for directions from Portsmouth, Virginia to get home over in the Norfolk area.
Oh, with the tunnels and the loop-de-loops and the roundarounds.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And Portsmouth isn't the neighborhood you want to get lost in.
No, I mean, you got so many bridges and tunnels, and you got to know your 64s. I mean, you got to know whether or not you're going to take
64,
264,
yeah.
464, 564, regular 64, State Route 164, and which tunnels are you going through?
I lived there twice. I lived in Portsmouth proper, and then I lived in Port Norfolk, which is right. It's anyway. So, Steven, you're awfully quiet.
I'm awfully quiet because I'm fiddling with my audio settings over here.
Yeah, where's that little bell at?
I got
Yeah,
One-
we don't want to hear what you're fiddling with. Come on now.
Show me your hands.
Right?
Okay.
Thank you for
Just
sharing.
don't ask to see anything below my shirt.
no tubing on off track unless your name is Rusty.
No, I have honestly just been working my tail off lately. So
Wait
I
a
have
moment.
nothing-
Wait a moment. Are you like Take Roo on here with the tail?
not that
Right.
much tail.
Oh, okay.
Oh, do you want to talk about your tail? I mean, we can, if you'd so like.
Oh,
Did you lose your audio?
I think I did. Am I back now, though?
you're back.
you're
Yes,
back.
you're back.
Fantastic.
So-
Sorry about
Nothing
that.
like technical difficulties when half of the people are gone.
Exactly.
So what do you do?
So
Said doo
I
doo.
do. That seems very personal, but we'll go into that. No.
No shit talking.
So my day job, I'm an accountant at a manufacturing company. We do automotive parts.
Oh.
And recently my boss got kind of forced transferred out, so I got kind of forced into his job. So I'm doing 2 jobs at once there. I help Dad run his gun shop part of the time. I am local government official, and I'm also part-time security at Hillsdale College. So
Hillsdale, really?
yes.
So in
I'm
other
familiar
words,
for
you
some
just
reason.
you just sit around on your arse all the time. Apparently, is all you do.
Basically,
Gosh.
basically, I really do nothing.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Wow, that's a lot going on right there.
It is. It's tough to juggle sometimes, but that's okay. Keeps me out of
See, he
trouble.
already does that much nothing. He could have easily filled in for Rusty, and you should have stood in for Knights. But I mean, you had to go the other way around.
Just because of the glasses.
She knew I needed a break, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you see me waving around, I've got these little like ankle biter little things that are just all over the place. They look like gnats and they act like gnats, but apparently they bite. They don't bite me, but they bite everybody else. But they're all up in my way.
You might have to
So
do
sorry
like
for
blood type.
moving so much.
Oh, Stephen, does the strike affect the auto parts industry?
it does. Our plant has not been very affected yet. Some bits and pieces of our company has been, and we're constantly watching the strike news, right, to see what's going on, just to try to stay ahead of it.
Right.
We'll see how long it goes. If it eventually it'll have to hit us, right? Because that's just how that works. I'm not real sure if I feel good about them getting things done quickly or not. I kind of suspect that the auto companies are happy to get volume or inventories down, but we'll see.
Wow. Good luck. I wish you luck with that. I don't know. I would like to see an end to all of the strikes pretty soon, but that I know the actors in the Hollywood. I know that's hitting our entertainment industry, but I mean the automotive industry. Come on, that hits the heart of America right there.
It does. It's a lot of jobs, and the difficulty is a lot of what the union's asking for. And I can have sympathy both ways, honestly. Though I'm not a union guy per se, but some of the demands they're asking for, like the 4-day work week, that's going to impact the whole supply chain, right? Because suddenly we're going to have to work 4 days.
Oh crap!
That's one of their demands is a 4-day work week. So what are? Yeah.
So would that include like crazy schedules, like going into shift work? Because not everybody can work just 4 days and have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. That would have to go into a shift work rotation.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to end up doing, and again, how that affects us, I don't know. We're not a union company. We have a few union shops. Our shop is not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if all of a sudden the factories we ship to are working 4 days a week, well, what are we going to do with our Fridays? We'll probably still build parts because we may not be able to keep up with the pace they need to build the same number of cars in 4 days as 5. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that affects us all.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope it goes well, and I'm also interested about your job at Hillsdale. That was I subscribed to their letter. I haven't read it in a while, but it was pretty. I love that they give the free Constitution classes online, and they're a pretty conservative college.
They are, and they do some Constitution classes for law enforcement as well, which is a good thing. There's days, it's still an educational institution, so some days I just want to shake people, but a lot of good people. The students, I just worked in a long event last night. I think I was there for 7 hours, 8 hours. But again, even when there's been alcohol moving around, most of the students, they're just super, not what you would expect on a college campus. They're very respectful. They're very
Really?
grateful to have us there. Yeah, I mean, they're just
Aw.
honest to goodness good people. They're still college students, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're good kids.
Yeah, they're
Aw.
gonna college. Is it
Yes.
is it a really large campus, or is it
No,
because it's
the
kind
main
of a
part
niche college?
It is. I think we're somewhere around 2,000 students.
Oh,
Less than that
wow.
even, I think. And the main campus, it might take up 4 blocks in town. Now there's the sports complex is it's on campus, but it's not part of the main, what I would call main campus. It's not real big. It's really not.
Well, well. Sorry, I had to. But that's interesting. That has to be an interesting job, seeing the students, especially at such a niche campus. I bet you get to see a lot of things that most of America doesn't, especially because when people think college campus, if you don't know about Hillsdale, they get a totally different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we have a shotgun rifle and pistol range. We have a couple of different gun teams, depending on what kind of guns you're into. It's just a very different college experience.
I
It's
love
pretty
it.
cool. And I grew up right near here, so I've always been around the college, but working there is a whole different thing.
Really, how many colleges do you find that's real big on guns anyway?
None.
There you go.
Michigan State University has a range that most people don't know about, but it's very, 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 very limited. But I mean, like our action shooting team, a couple months ago, they were competing against like West Point and other military academies, right? Because there's not a lot of colleges with rifle and pistol teams.
That is cool. I did not know that. Let me write that down. I have a teenager, so thinking about college.
It's a good place to go. It's not cheap.
I got a couple of those
Never mind.
teenagers.
It's not cheap.
But it's a good education.
What's
Well-
not cheap, teenagers or college?
Yes.
All of it.
Okay.
All of the above. Exactly.
Food.
Exactly.
I believe it's 13. Hey, Wombat Mommy, Timothy Routliff, they've all been in here for a while. Jen, Kathy and the Berg just made it here. I want to call her
Yep.
Kathy and the Kakalaki. Major
Wait a
Zero?
moment, Kakalaki.
Yeah, Major Zero is part of the gang at the Whiskey Wisdom. So welcome, Major.
Yeah, he said Rusty and I partied pretty hard on Friday night.
They
And
did.
everybody's wondering if Rusty's really sick or if he's just hungover. Jen Clifton is here also. Jason Goki, another
Who's Jen
OG.
Clifton.
I don't know.
Jen.
She's some crazy lady.
I thought you were serious.
Whatever.
Um,
Kind of.
who else?
He is a little crazy.
Speaking of which, I want to give a shout out to Warhorse Legacy Foundation, warhorselegacy.org. It's a foundation in Northwest Arkansas. It's the only nonprofit veterans organization dedicated to horsemanship, outdoor recreation, and networking. And Warhorse offers all of their programs free of charge to veterans and their families. And that is really important because you can't heal alone. And that's one of the very few veterans organizations that I've seen that offers offers their programs to the families. And healing in an environment where it's inclusive is a lot more effective. There is hardcore data on that, and I just really got to give a shout out to them because I love it. I love it. So, go to warhorselegacy.org. Give them a shout out. Give them a few dollars. If you're in the area, go visit. But we really support them. We love them. They're a sponsor of our show, and we love you guys. We really do. And do you have any stingers, Kinsey? Are you eating?
Is that your stinger?
It was not going through.
No.
No.
What the hell?
We just
I
assumed that
swear,
your
what in the world's going on here?
chowing was.
Nah,
You know,
I-
it's a shit
good
show.
grief.
Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I hit it and had it going. I'm not used to Zoom on a computer. I mean, that's my issue here. But yeah, I have a stinger. I played it. I can play it again. Maybe this time you'll hear it. I don't know. Can you hear it?
You know,
Yeah.
kangaroos are made out of pure awesome. Every once in a while, a bit of awesome will fall off me, and the OffTrack Syndicate will pick it up and pretend they had it all along. Especially that Rusty guy. Bunch of cheaters.
I think that's the problem. Rusty must have got into a fight with a kangaroo, and that's why he can't make it in here.
Oh, man. I love that one cartoon. I'm sorry, total ADHD, but that one cartoon with the kangaroo and the, was it Sylvester and Tweety, I think? And it was, everybody thought it was a mouse, but it was really the kangaroo kicking his butt. Do you remember that? Or am I too old?
Vaguely.
Hmm.
Vaguely too.
There's a number. There's a number of things there like kind of similar along them lines. Well, hey, guess what? We got music playing. That means we made it halfway through the first hour.
Woo!
Hang around. Am I sharing my screen or am I sharing?
You are.
Damn it! How the heck am I
With
supposed
Beaver.
to share just the sound?
Two things. If I'm gonna do this, I need my bell and I need a drink because this is first I'm not dressed. Can't be messing this whole thing up.
After the show, I'm going to clean out your...
Man.
Okay, I got my bell. Now I need a drink. I'm gonna mute so I don't make noise.
I don't know where...
I don't want to share sound. What the heck?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. Probably somewhere safe. And stuff.
By the way, my calendar is telling me that I'm supposed to be on
But
OffTrack
after
tonight.
the show, we'll probably, it'll be fine.
You're having bandwidth issues over there, though.
I don't
Yeah.
doubt it.
The video on the YouTube is very blurry. Also, did you get my message, Kinsey? I think that was from Rusty.
On what?
They told me to tell you that there's no hotline tonight.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
I didn't want to say anything in the middle of the show, so. Let's see here. Up, so many seconds, however many.
I like that pose right there. I like that pose right
I'm doing what I can here. All right. How well do you think we've screwed up this show so far? Good at it?
there. I mean, compared to the baseline, you know, how bad could it be? The baseline, you know, how bad could it be?
I mean, we can go ahead and try to go for broke if you want to. But anyway, Meh Mississippi will be back eventually. Here she is.
Hey.
Welcome back, Melissa.
Okay.
Welcome to the show. Nobody missed you at all.
I know. How many people have already left? They're like, oh, Rusty's how many not here have already left? They're like, oh, Rusty's not here.
Why are
By
we
the way,
hearing an echo?
we're back off commercial.
Why are we hearing an echo?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's my fault, trying to figure out how to do everything on my end.
Cheers, you guys. This is for all of you.
I need a drink.
Cheers. What are you
This is not
drinking?
the right spot for me to have one. Not in.
Okay, Major, we will let Rusty know that you stopped by. Are we good? Why is YouTube all blurry?
I don't know if we're good or not, but I mean we're on the show. So I mean we're on Mojo.
Is everybody's YouTube blurry?
Mine's a little bit. Yeah.
Looks like it. At least on my computer. I have my computer next to me, so yeah, it's blurry.
What? Why does that happen? I don't know.
I got absolutely no clue.
No, it's the weirdest thing.
How
Probably
many?
because of me.
Oh, jeez.
YouTube's like, gross. What the heck is that doing here?
It's a safety feature.
Exactly.
So Rusty did send a couple of stories to discuss. Let me see. Debbie Boone? No. Trisha Yearwood? No. Oh, no. You ready?
You know what?
Lance,
Not really.
Lance Armstrong just turned 52. I heard he had a ball.
But oh, wait a minute.
Oh
boy.
boy.
I got that one right there.
Oh gosh. Okay.
It's officially a
What-
crime.
Wasn't it some biker dude?
Yeah, it still is.
Oh, okay.
Cancer, but
What do you mean, biker dude? It's like been seven times or something. Oh my god.
I'm
Good
waiting.
lord.
Well, that's the whole thing. You say biker,
biker
dude, and
dude,
see
you know.
how many people actually get it.
oh yeah. Lots of people. I'm looking for that the ethical questions. Let me see. There's tons of them.
I found
Oh,
something.
by the way, while
Yeah,
you're
and
looking,
in between, I
actually,
could tell a funny thing.
you can tell a
Please.
funny thing.
Well,
It's-
I said in between, I could tell a couple little funny things
Do
that
it.
I found online today.
Don't talk about my thing.
Well, there's just thoughts to, think about that I found on the internet or on Facebook or whatever today. And I thought some of them were cute. So I took a picture. So in
How about
between,
it?
I'll just throw them out.
Yeah,
How about
that's
that?
please do it.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. If 4 out of 5 people suffer from diarrhea, does that mean that 1 out of 5 enjoys it?
Well, it's probably a relief.
Ba-dum-bum.
There you go.
Good one.
Why isn't the
Jennifer,
number 11
veget-
pronounced 181?
Well, it is now.
Yeah.
181. I see.
My favorite number.
She was bringing up diarrhea. I mean, I figured it. If it was a vegetarian, it'd be a salad shooter.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
It was more like that, wasn't it?
Yes.
I gotta get the right button in there.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize my video goes off when I'm doing that.
That's all
Cool,
right.
man. Yeah, I know. Y'all don't need to see me, that's for sure.
No, please.
Things are not working like I was hoping they would because apparently on my phone, my messenger and everything is running freaking slow. So I select a spot somewhere and it says loading. So
Okay, food for thought. Why do croutons come in airtight packages? I've always wondered that too.
Well, to avoid moisture, I think. I don't know.
that could be it. But I mean, they're still to begin with, right? That's the whole point of a crouton.
I got my little bell.
Yeah.
You said moisture.
Your bell sounds bigger than hers.
My bell is bigger than hers.
There you go.
At least tonight. Normally she has a big bell. This is not coming out okay. Oh, that sounds so funny. Dinkle dink.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna do. I don't know what story. See, Knights gave us a lot of build up before he had to cancel his appearance tonight on the show. He was doing his own "Am I the Asshole" story, but I'm just gonna pick one that I read earlier.
What he neglected to mention was he was creating his own "Am I the Asshole" story by calling out the last second so that he can do whatever the hell he wants to do instead of the show.
So
I assumed that's what she meant.
Oh my goodness.
YTA. YTA. So one of these stories goes, am I the asshole for telling my daughter she's a disappointment? This is a father that posted this, and he has two daughters, 23 and 20. Both of them are beautiful, smart, successful, and really into sports. And they were really great at school. But the oldest daughter quit sports and school when she was 18, and it was because she was pregnant. I was very upset and advised her to not have the child because you were so young and it would disrupt your life. She got married quickly to the baby's father, then decided to stay home and take care of her child, and husband worked. Yesterday at dinner with my daughters and my wife, we were having a discussion, and my daughter asked me to be completely honest. And I had told her that although I love my grandson, I'm very disappointed that you became a mother at an early age, left school, and now she's dependent on a man. So is he the asshole?
Yes.
Hey, Kinsey, I can see your gears turning.
Well, I mean, you got to figure out how to balance out honesty with, some of the 5 rules. And yeah, even though it might not be offensive, it still might be something that you should not necessarily do, even though you could. So, yeah, you have to learn how to weigh things, and this might be starting out with some of the other things that you're glad about. And then if you really think it's an issue, you just finish the rest in private, because you don't air things out in front of everybody. It is definitely not a good thing to do. And it's you don't have any. I don't see a whole lot of constructive things that you can get out of that whenever something ends up being almost like a scene made out of this. Just the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the daughter didn't, she's not a degenerate or anything like that. She started a family early, but I don't think parents realize it doesn't matter how old you are, even if you're a little child or if you're an adult, everything they say to you affects you. And I think, I don't know, there might be data on it, but I know personally, no matter even now at my age, if one of my parents said something like that, it would definitely fire up some neurons in the brain, and that there would be, I don't know, guilt, anger. Yeah, I think he was pretty much an asshole. And Steven agrees. SoCal? You're muted, sweetie.
Oh, that's why you guys didn't hear me the whole time. Okay, I got you.
You're on mute.
Because I had commented a few times.
Oh, yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so, well, I agree with Kinsey, but I didn't realize he had said that at the table. He said that at the dinner?
Yes.
Okay, that's messed up. Okay, so, but, I think an honest conversation should I mean, well, they already said it at the front, like, don't do that. But it sounds like she is doing the right things, settling down, taking care of her husband, the house, the kid. The husband's doing the right thing. And yes, I agree with Mississippi saying that, words do affect, especially coming from parents, and people hate to hear the word disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the honesty, but not like that. And saying I love my grandson, but that bugs too. I don't like the whole but thing. But yeah, kind of an asshole, but I like the honesty part, just not like that.
Yeah, you
Go
can be
ahead.
disappointed in like some of the things that she did, but then you have to be able to say, I'm not disappointed in how well you handled the outcome of what you did.
There you go. There you go, Stephen. That's a better way to say it. Correct. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And people in the chat are definitely saying yes, the asshole.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah, dads. I mean, well, moms and dads. There's no one more important than the other.
Yeah, Wombat Mommy says she wanted reassurance from her dad that he was still proud of her no matter what. He blew it big time. And Kathy in the Berg said sometimes honesty isn't always the best policy. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true. I mean, especially when it comes to, I don't want to sound all Freudian and stuff, but the opposite sex parents, like the daughter and the dad, or the mom and the son, they usually have the biggest impact when it comes to acceptance. But,
absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of the ethicist questions. It's been hell since my in-laws moved in. Do I have to put up with it? So for the past few months, my in-laws have been staying in a home where my spouse and I have lived for more than a decade, and it is a nightmare. It's a small townhouse where we lived with our 2 now grown children. The trouble is that my in-laws have no respect for our household rules. They cook all day, talk on the phone at full volume, keep the lights on. My father-in-law has a strange habit of flushing the toilet 10 times. Blah, blah, blah.
What?
And yeah, right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, you got to go. Because I know sometimes, depending on, I think the culture of the family, parents think that they could just go anywhere and do anything because they're always right when it comes to their grown children. And, because they're parents, it gives them the right to disrespect their kids.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a lot of that from people. It's effectively, I guess you could say, similar to financial advice in family and other things. It's what was referred to as powdered butt syndrome.
Powdered butt syndrome.
Yes, powder butt syndrome. If there are certain things that they do not want your advice anymore, whenever they actually are the ones that powdered your butt while you were in a diaper.
Mm.
And I mean,
I've never
financial
heard of that.
advice,
I'm gonna write that
relationship advice, these are some biggies on powder butt syndrome. So,
I think it's pretty rude to just come on in, and I think that needs a conversation. Listen, trying to give respect to my elders here, but at the same time, you have to respect my household and
Mm-hmm.
and be polite and listen. That's what it's all about. Respect. We're letting you stay here. Please respect the household, people's privacy. I don't know what the whole 10 flushes is, but please stop doing that unless you want to pay the water bill.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Yeah. So yeah, what's the deal now? I think my views have changed a lot on that. The respect your elders. Is that like a carte blanche statement? Like, no matter what, if they're older than you respect them? I mean, yeah, out in public, I'm not talking about acquaintances or people you meet, because of course, courtesy, just being a nice person. But the people in your life, just because they're old, do we give them a pass? Not going into like mental illness or Alzheimer's or old age, but just, do they automatically get a pass Or do older people have to earn our respect, or do we respect them regardless?
I don't think they get a pass. I think they probably get a better amount of grace when dealing with them than most other people would, especially if you got that big of a difference in age. You're dealing with somebody that's going to have a completely different perspective on so many things than you do. And I mean, that was true in history, and it's true more now than it ever has been because life has been changing due to technology and everything so rapidly.
And we're living longer, so we have more generations alive at one time.
Well, I mean that's only part of it. The other part of it is your great grandfather is somebody that was out there living in an era where people on a regular basis still haven't had electricity yet. Our generation are the ones that set the time on the VCR. Well, our parents didn't know how to do that.
You just gave me some flashbacks. Holy crap, you're right.
And our next generation is the ones that knows how to do everything there is on social media and has no clue what the heck a magnetic tape is.
A what?
So, yeah, exactly. Audio or video. So the difference in perspective has got to be astronomical for today compared to what it was a few generations ago, just because of the technological advances that we've had.
And actually, I have just a quick thing to say about this. I'm actually going through a situation that deals with respecting your elders. My child just moved to Maryland and is
moved to where?
Maryland.
Oh, okay.
So and my in-laws are back there. And the grandmother, being from a different generation, they have some different views of today's world versus her world. And this is what I've always advised my children. It kind of goes to what you're saying. I think that you give a certain amount of respect and courtesy at first, but if it goes from there, if it's a relative, you were saying if it's a relative. So if this is a relative and she has a difference of opinion, you can still respect her opinion and hope that she respects yours as well, because you can have differing opinions because of the generation gap and etc. But I do think that certain people that are good people, they're just set in their ways. I mean, we're all going to get older. We all see ourselves even now setting in our ways, you should give a certain amount of respect, and then it could be earned from there. But I was raised to respect my elders, whether they were family or not. And if they said to do something, I would do it unless it was against morals or values, But I think that there should be some level of respect at first, and then it can be continued to earn. But I think it goes both ways. I think elders also need to respect the new generation, the new things that are coming in, including technology, thoughts, and the ways of the world today. Some of them.
I agree. I really do. And I think, just the courtesy on both ends, because everybody here, like, if I were to ask you, are you a critical thinker? Everybody would say yes. Everybody thinks that they're I'm not everybody. Okay, most people think that their way is the correct way. It's our human. It's the human condition, because it is way too uncomfortable to think that we're doing wrong. Not necessarily wrong, but not the best. So when you have different generations competing for who's right, and some, I mean, Doc used to say, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And sometimes being right, because our elders have a lot more experience in things that we will never understand because we weren't there, and vice versa. We have a lot of technological experience and experience with things now. So we're kind of equals in that way, but to kind of respect where people are, where they are in their development or growth or whatever. But I think there was a culture, I don't know what generation it was, but there was a culture where elders just got carte blanche. It didn't matter what you did. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons I pulled my kid out of Boy Scouts years ago, it was only that troop. It wasn't the Boy Scouts in general, but the culture of it was do whatever they say and don't question anything. And I think that's where you get into that slippery slope of, the abuse and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I disagree with do whatever I want, but do whatever I say, because no, you still have your own. You're an independent person as well. I just think you can respect the generational differences both ways. And you also brought up something about my way you think is the right way. That could go with a simple thing of a mom and a dad with a baby, and the mom thinks the way she changes the diaper is better than the way the husband does it, right?
mhm.
And I remember my mom telling me that once, and I was just like, it bugs the way he does it. And she says, let him be his own. You got to be your own individual. So that's what it comes down to. An elder as an individual, or whatever. If you start with respect, and then it can either continue to be earned or go backwards. I don't know. Stephen, what do you have to say?
It's a tough topic, but I mean, this all makes sense to me. It's difficult, and part of it's situational, right? So why are they living with the kids? Is it, they have a house fire, so they're there for a couple of months? Are they moved in permanently? That can all make a difference too, right? If it's short term, you can put up with a lot more of that oddity stuff.
They were supposed to only stay there for a few months, and I think it was because they were looking for another house, and it's gotten so bad that it's caused problems in the marriage.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
want
that makes
to.
it-
I didn't want to be boring and read the entire article, but I tried to
Yeah.
get they also the in-laws are in a financial situation, and ethically she felt like, or he, I don't know if it's a she or he, felt like they could accept this for a while, but I don't know. I fantasized about moving out, but I've spent a lot of time and money making this our home. My relationship with my spouse has changed for the worse in a few months. I understand family has claims on all of us, but there are common courtesies to respect, and my in-laws have so far failed to honor them.
Yeah, see, that
No.
sounds like the problem is not necessarily not respecting your elders, it's the elders taking advantage. And
Absolutely.
I think that's different.
That
Yeah.
Thank you for reframing that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. And that's what I was kind of saying about
Yes.
the bill. You're coming in, you're making noise, you're flushing the toilet 10 times. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to deal with this, but that's what's going to cause contention, is because the wife or the husband, whoever's talking about this, feels like they can't say anything, and it's probably up to the son or daughter of these people to
Right.
say something.
And really,
And I think it should be said.
Yeah, and that's something too, right? So, am I
Mhm.
respecting my elders by letting them do whatever the hell they want?
Mm-mm.
Maybe I'm treating them like a spoiled child instead. Maybe I need to be like, hey, let's sit down and let's talk about what you're doing because it's a problem. That might be more respectful than just letting them roll over you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how much of this is actually being realized by the in-laws, because I mean,
Very possible.
everyone can overstay their welcome. Everybody, if they're in a leadership role, feels like they can still be in charge of a number of the things that are going on because that's the way they've always acted in other relationships. This is a different scenario just due to the change of environment.
Yeah.
And
Let's say it just
Go
comes
ahead,
back to
Steve.
that just comes back to they got to talk, right? Because maybe nobody's talked about it. Like, hey, you're doing things that are causing us issues. If they're not talking about it, just venting about it online, it's not going to help anything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are so many other things too that you always take more for granted than you would otherwise because you think you know the person, you've dealt with them a while. That is why some of the people that you can irritate the most or hurt the most, especially without even thinking that you're doing it during the time, are some of them people that are closest to you
Absolutely.
because you already think that, you're in sync. And then when you're not, somebody that cares that much more about you is more likely to put up with you and deal with the garbage that you got than it is somebody else. You're gonna speak up a lot sooner for somebody else you don't care as much about
Yes.
because you don't care what their reaction is.
True. Very true.
It's the other way around here.
And
And sometimes that's worse than the other way around. But it's the nature of the way things are.
And I know, so Stephen brought up an excellent point. People aren't talking to each other, they're just venting online. And maybe this will change with the generations, but I know in the era that my parents grew up in and my grandparents and so forth, they don't talk about anything. Their attitude is silence. And here's what when they complain about stuff to other people, not directly to the person that they're mad at, they always say, well, you think she would have gave me a call. You think she would have brought me flowers. You think they would have brought some bread. Well, Ma, did you say anything? No, you would think that they would already know that. And that's the attitude, and that has caused so many problems. They don't talk. It is extremely uncomfortable. So they keep sitting there and making up scenarios in their head where somebody could have done something to make it better. Not them, not talking. It's very uncomfortable. So hopefully with the generations now of maybe being a little more aware and, therapy. I don't even want to call it mental health anymore because that's that's stigmatized. But with counseling or being able to talk to other people and how important communication is. Maybe I'm reading a book right now. It's called Generations, and it's really cool because I didn't realize about the silent generation. So you have the silent generation, the baby boomers, X, millennials, Zoomers, and she breaks it. It's not a small book, but it's an easy read, and it's fascinating. If you care about that kind of thing.
Well, communication to me is key in every relationship. But let me ask you something about your family that you were talking about.
I don't want to stop you, SoCal, but we're getting ready to go ahead and go on to the break. So
we're
asking
good.
the question, yeah, we'll get back to it there. We're not going to be doing a blank game due to technical difficulties, but we will swap some subjects. And a couple of you people that do know me and have my number, if you call in, maybe you can join. We'll see. Maybe. All right, should be like a 4 minute of me trying to figure out how to get all my sound stuff straightened out, I hope.
Oh, and correction, Kenzie, it was Goki that said that the hotline wasn't working. I knew it wasn't Rusty's number, but so sorry about that, Rusty. On it. Yeah. I just wanted to acknowledge because I felt bad that I said I don't know who it's from. I don't think it's from Rusty. It might be. I don't know. But it was a Kentucky number, so I was like, I'm confused. Yeah, these gnats are driving me nuts. I'm gonna go change my shirt real quick because I keep tugging at it. It's bugging. I'll be right back.
Gilly! I hear Gilly barking up in the background. We're having a screwed up show. Everything's going wrong.
I think that right there needs to be a stinger.
It does.
Absolutely, that was beautiful.
All right. Well, I think I got the backing track soft. We'll see. We might be. This is going to be a test on the fly because I have an idea on how this will work in theory. This would be one of them things that I would normally want to check out and figure out because, yeah, on how things would be to loop back into the soundboard. Because normally I'm operating outside of the way I normally do this. Normally I do everything through my phone itself. So it's a shift working everything through the phone to working everything through the computer, especially since it's a different hookup into the board altogether with how things are.
I'm just glad I don't know half of what you just said, and I don't have to.
Well, just think of it this way. It's like driving a vehicle with a different style of transmission. You know how it's supposed to work, but you're not.
Yes, I got you there. I got you there.
Hurry up a minute. Come on.
I'm back. Jeez. Well, maybe I want to make a drink. How many seconds do I have left?
Hope if things work right, you'll hear the beeps here in a little bit.
Okay.
But
top off
yeah,
my drink.
30. Woohoo! Let's see if we can hear it. Can we hear it?
I heard a
Did
beep.
you hear it?
2 beeps.
It worked. Everybody quiet. Jeff Fisher, off track promo, take one.
I mean, my show is Chewing the Fat with Jeff Fisher. I don't know what the other show is.
Off track Syndicate.
It says here I can plug Cheering the Fat. I don't even know what that is.
Remember the show now?
OffTrack Syndicate. Yeah.
Okay, let's try it again then.
Anyway,
14.
Chewing the Fat with Jeff Fisher is my show, available wherever you listen to your podcast. Now, what's the name of the show?
Are you kidding?
Be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and of course, listen to my show. Yeah, we'll get to Off Track Syndicate. Chewing the Fat with Jeff Fisher. That's my show. Now back to the show you're listening to.
Off track.
Available wherever you listen to your podcast. Now back to what's the name of this? Be sure to subscribe to my show, Chewing the Fat with Jeff Fisher, available wherever you get your podcast.
And what else?
All right, back to Off Track Syndicate.
Now it is possible that you all can hear the music and everything play and not hear yourself repeating your own ears in the background whenever you talk on here.
Was the
In
music
theory.
playing?
Well, couldn't really hear
What?
the music.
What? You didn't hear it?
Vaguely.
Was it not loud enough?
It was like background noise.
It was like background noise. I didn't have it loud enough, is what you're saying.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Kind of skipped around.
Okay. Well, I got it cranked up a little bit high, a little bit hotter, a little bit louder, but hopefully it'll work like it should. Maybe, in theory.
That doesn't seem
Okay.
right.
And Melissa, that's not a good sign, Melissa. I understand that things are not going great. That doesn't mean you should get up and leave and abandon us all. We're all through this. We're supposed to go through this struggle together, okay?
We're going through it together. We're making it. Fake it.
I will have to say, I do want to know something from you, Melissa.
Giraffe.
Did yesterday go as well for you as you thought it would yesterday evening?
Oh no, it went better than I thought it would.
Okay. For all of you all that are wonderful off track listeners, there's this guy that has this tin can show that's probably not worth listening to for the most part. And actually, Melissa got drafted to be part of that guy's show, and she got to talk to a handful of people that she probably two of them she's never met. I'm relatively certain.
No, that's
and the
true.
other two, and then the other two happen to be part of the Jack Hole family, somewhat remotely. So I mean, at least they weren't all strangers.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Just
We were all
because they're
strange.
Just because they're strange people does not mean they're strangers. There's a difference.
Yep. It was and it was nice to talk to Kathy and her husband, Mr. Kathy, Arthur, a little bit more than. Yeah, I love the way they talk. It makes me feel comfortable.
That's because they originally come from New York and then they transplanted over into Spotsville, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So
love that. Go New Yorkers.
The accent's not worn off yet. So
no, and I hope it doesn't. That's where they're from. Go do it. Be you.
Well, I
Goki
mean,
says, "Where's the music?" in the chat, by the way. So maybe the music didn't play for anybody else.
It might not have been loud enough.
Yeah,
I think
Timmy said to turn on your
now.
original sound. Do you have your original sound on?
Well, I sworn it was, but I don't know if it's changing the. Yeah, there we go. I got it on here. I don't know if it was, like I said, I'm trying to change things to figure stuff out. So that might have been it because I had it on at the beginning of the show. But trying to figure out the shared status and the board and everything on the fly, I probably bumped it and messed it up.
Now we're here. Now we're here again.
Oh,
Say what?
The echo.
You still echo?
Hello? Okay, we're good.
Okay, no echo.
Okay.
All
Shit
right.
show. So before we went to the break, SoCal, what was that question?
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I know I was going to ask you a question about your family. Was that the question?
Yes.
That I started with?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So we all know communication is key. And definitely, I think the older generations, like my grandmother and possibly yours, did not communicate well. But does your family also hold grudges because they don't communicate? Are they grudge holders?
Big time. But you don't know it. You don't. I mean, they don't.
You don't know
say
it because they don't say it. Yeah.
So it's more like Stepford Wives syndrome, where they're nice to your face and then they talk all kinds of smack about you and how much they hate you whenever you leave. Or yeah.
Yep.
I just don't understand the point of that. I'm sorry.
I don't like it.
I think it's
cannot
because
stand that.
I'm pretty sure it's because how they were raised. You know, if my elders, let's say my mom, if she can't talk to me or express what's going on or how she feels, she can't give me something that she doesn't have. So she never learned how to do that. And one of the fundamentals of growing up when you're little is learning how to manage your emotions. Why are toddlers such a handful? Why do they scream? Why do they throw fits? It's because they don't have the words to express how they're feeling. And you can grow up like that, and it could go a bunch of different ways, where you could be the type of person like I was, where when anything serious came up, or if I was mad or I needed to talk about something, automatically cry. Like just cry, because I didn't I can't remember the feeling, but it was like I don't know if I'm right, but I'm having these feelings. And I would, I don't know if anybody else in the chat, like, have you ever been into confrontation, but afraid to be in a confrontation because you know you're going to cry because of what you're going to say. And then there are other people where it manifests differently. It comes out as anger. Like they, like when a toddler, when you don't have the language, it'll come out as anger, or it could also come out as physical, like physical violence. Like you can't talk without, and that's part of how you were raised. And I'm not saying, if anybody was bad parents, if they weren't parented a certain way, then you weren't parented a certain way, because you can't hand down something that you didn't have, that they didn't have. And it just,
But I feel you can break this cycle. And I hate to interrupt you, and I apologize, but I feel you can break the cycle. For example, I lived with my grandmother. I was 24 years old. She was late 70s, early 80s. So big generational difference.
Mm-hmm.
She did the same thing that you're talking about. She didn't communicate with me. She'd call my mom and say, Jen, God, that Jen, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like telling her stuff. And my mom would tell me. So I sat down with my grandmother and I said, hey, listen, feel free to talk to me. If I'm doing something that bugs, I'd rather you tell me than go through mom and bring her in this. She has nothing to do with it. This is our relationship. Let's work it out on our own. And if you need somebody to vent to, cool, go to mom. But I would prefer you, at least if it has to do with me, talk to me. So we learned how to do that. It was a learned thing because she didn't do that. She also wasn't raised with hugs. And I'm a hugger. My dad raised me with hugs. Her not being a hugger made my mom not a hugger. My dad comes into her life. He's a big hugger. So I hug everybody. And she learned to become a hugger. So old dogs can learn new tricks, and you can change the cycle. The physical abuse, the other types of abuse that comes in your life, you can change it. You just have to be strong enough to do so, in my opinion. And you have to interject. You have to be the one to do it if you don't want that kind of behavior going on, whether lack of communication or whatever it is.
Exactly. You're right. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to break the, some people get really triggered when I talk about transgenerational or multi-generational trauma. A lot of people think that everybody is an island, everybody is their own clean slate, and how you were raised has nothing to do with how you are now. I had a friend of mine a few months ago overheard a conversation I was talking to about somebody else. I was like, well, what about, your parents? How did your divorce affect you and your marriage relationship? And my other friend came out. She's like, this is effing bullshit. I don't care. Like, however you were raised has nothing to do with who you are now. And people need to stop blaming their parents for their shitty lives now. And I'm like, yeah, there's a balance there. Yeah, you have choice on what to do, but also you will learn to do something. But if I complimented her son because her son is super successful, with all of his endeavors, like if I said, well, that had nothing to do with you, then she'd get pissed.
Politician syndrome.
Talk about
what you got, Steven?
They don't take blame, but they take credit.
You got anything, Steven? You want to weigh in on anything?
No,
or just
well, you talk about the generational thing, just from my friends in law enforcement will tell you, especially if you've lived in the same area, you've been there generationally. I'll just say one of my friends was a cop. He's arrested a kid. He's arrested the kid's father. He's arrested the kid's grandfather, all for the same stuff, because they grow up in that situation, and if they don't find a way to get out of it, it's the same. That stuff can stick.
It does. It
takes a lot to break free of it.
It really does. And but
it's possible.
It is possible.
It's possible. You just have to either, I guess that's where, and I hate to get all psychological and stuff, but honestly,
no, please do.
That's where you either take the victim role or you just stand up and say, this is not going to happen in my life. Like, I'm sure a lot of us were raised with spankings and such, and maybe the belt or a stick or something else, right? Well, that's not going to happen in my family. So the buck stops here. and it's my responsibility. It's not saying I'm not going to discipline my children. I'm absolutely going to discipline is important. It's an important part of raising your kids. It teaches morals, values, right and wrong, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take a belt to you. I'm just not going to do it.
Thank you
That's
for saying
my
that.
personal opinion.
Jen, thank you, because I have brought this up a lot of times, but then it come and a lot of people's reactions in our generation here, a lot of people get very defensive because that's how they were raised. My parents smacked me and I came out okay, and if they didn't smack me, I wouldn't be the wonderful person I am today. But now that has been studied, there has been many studies, and people, if you're sick of hearing me say, oh, there's studies, there's research or whatever, I can forward it to you, but that is harmful. Not every kid that gets spanked, turns out to be violent or whatever, but the majority, they either turn out to do the same thing, but violence, and it really messes with your head when your parent hurts you. And usually when a parent goes to that extreme nowadays spankings are an extreme. They weren't when I was a kid. They weren't probably even 10 years ago. Today, they're an extreme. And it's not because of what the kid's doing. It's because it's the parent's loss of control. Have you ever spanked your kid when you were happy? Oh, let me just spank Johnny real quick. I'm fine, but let me just teach him a lesson. It's because the parents don't know how to communicate. And that's that's another thing that gets passed down to generations. You lose control and you're frustrated, and that's why you spank your kid, because they're not doing what they're supposed to. And that, we know now, is wrong. I mean, I was of the mindset before I had my kid. I heard down here in Mississippi, the schools had corporal punishment, and I'm like, yeah, spank those kids. But then I learned that it is extremely harmful. It is extremely harmful for their development, and it stunts their growth. It stunts their trust, and it changes their way they think about violence.
Now, is it the corporal punishment or the spanking itself, or is it the fact that so many people, when they do it, they're not in control of their own faculties like they should be? Is there a separation here between is there theoretically a right way to do it, but we just don't ever do it the right way?
No, a parent purposely inflicting pain on their child, that is the problem. And the reason that the parent does it is because they don't know how to control their emotions. And I'm not saying that people have done bad. I did it too, when and my thing was mine was fear. I would spank when Lincoln was a baby, when he would stand, not a baby, but toddler, and he would stand up in the bathtub. And I was so afraid because I thought he was the faucet thing. I always pictured him like falling on his head on the faucet, or, and he was a wild child. My boy was so wild, and I would get so afraid. And that's what came out of me, was spanking him to get him to get back into the tub. And I know what that feels like, because I couldn't control my own anger. And I don't know about the separation, Kinsey. Like, it's the loss of control of the parent, but ultimately it's the hurting the child. That is the thing.
Yeah.
Because they look at you different after that. They're like, parents are supposed to love and protect, but like Jen said, discipline, absolutely, but it does not have to go with you purposely inflicting pain on your child.
Yeah, like I chose, for example, I knew one of my children loved video games, so I chose to take that away for a while. Or one of my children liked, let's say, watching a particular program. I took that away instead. There are ways to discipline and to say, hey, you don't get this treat, but you don't have to hit them. And
yeah, and I think a lot of it, I know, especially with my generation, the Xers, we do it because we're also, not only it's the loss of control, but we're also honoring how we were grew up. This is me honoring my parents. Like, if my parents saw it, I would, my parents haven't been around in such a long time with me. They're still alive, but in a different state. But it's kind of, this is how my parents did it, and this is how I turned out. So I'm going to do it to my kid.
Turn out the same.
Yeah. There's this like blind loyalty that we have to our parents, and it might be like a human instinct, but we have to learn to get better. Every generation needs to be better than the generation before that. And for the most part, we do that. But there's a lot of us that are stuck in the honoring of our parents.
I think there's another issue, though, and I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I think what the tendency is that I see is that people overcorrect. So it goes from I'm not going to spank my child to I'm not going to discipline them at all because that's mean.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have
Yes.
a lot of other issues. So let's say I'm not trying to disagree with you, but there's other things as well. It's almost like people take it too far in the I'm not going to do that, so I'm just not going to do anything.
Correct.
Right.
I agree. I agree with that as well. And
100%.
that should not happen. Discipline is needed.
It's
What do
necessary.
they say? Reinforcement and punishment. It needs to be a punishment. I mean, that otherwise, how are they going to learn?
And not
Doesn't mean you have to
disciplining.
beat the crap out of them.
Not disciplining is child abuse.
Yes, it is.
It is
Well,
because then
100%.
they become little spoiled brats.
That comes down to what discipline actually is, because there was two things that it seemed like I was hearing from the discussions earlier, okay? And I may not necessarily agree with both of the things, okay? It sounds like that number one, there is absolutely no place at all for any type of corporal punishment. That is what it sounded like from the last discussion. And then number two, the only person that ever does any kind of corporal punishment, any butt popping or anything like that, is somebody that's out of control, and that, anybody that does it does not have their facilities. And
No, not facilities. It's a
necessarily agree with
moment.
that.
No. It's not. It's not that you're crazy. It's at that moment you can't control. Like, how do you feel? The last time you spanked your kid, what did you feel like right here? What did you feel in your hand? What did you feel in your gut?
Right, but what I'm getting at is it's not always in the moment, because there is a number of people that would feel like that it would be necessary, but they remove themselves first so they can go ahead and make sure that they're not reacting before they finally decide on what the punishment ought to be for the scenario. Mm-hmm. And this is also for things that are related to, like, things that are actually discipline for items that are already physical. Hitting your younger brother, kicking the dog, doing things like that. Do you think that those type of actions are best served with a timeout?
Oh, no, I'm not saying a timeout. Every kid is different. You need to figure out what punishment fits the crime for your child. Some child might hate a timeout or nose in the corner or something, or take away something he likes, or there are so many different things. You have to know your kid and know what's going to make the most effective impact on the kid.
Okay. Does that mean that it's never going to be a butt popping?
For me, that's what it means. I've always heard, like, a lot of people talk about spoiling their kids. They do not want their kids spoiled, right? Nobody wants to spoil a kid,
right?
But is there a difference? What's worse? I don't want to spoil my kid. People are more worried about spoiling their kids than they are about traumatizing them, because they don't think what they're doing is traumatizing. They weren't brought up that way. They don't have any information about what traumatizes a kid. So people are more worried about spoiling their kids, because they'll definitely get some feedback from their parents, the grandparents, but nobody knows anything about traumatizing a kid.
And
But
by the way,
what seems to be traumatizing nowadays, it might be completely different than what used to be traumatizing beforehand, because so many
is. It's
people are worried
generational.
about superficial with superficial appearances and things. Social media, I'm sure, is not very helpful on this, because
You're
I
right.
mean, the
social
kind of
media
stuff
isn't
that
helpful
we
with
put up
most.
with when we were kids. How many people do you think your grandkids are going to be able to put up with the same kind of crap that you did whenever you were that small?
Well, I don't want to. I can't go there anymore. I'm not going to say I wish things were like the way they were when I was a kid. I honor legacy. I honor the past, and I honor my elders and what they did. But I can't go down the road of back in my day. It would have been better if blah blah. It would have been. If my kid had to live when the back in the 80s or the 70s. I don't want that today. I don't want how it was back then to be today. Because that is a dead end road. That's never going to happen. It's never going to be like it was when we were kids. It's never going to be like it was when our grandparents were kids. We have to deal with the here and now and how it is now and how it might be in the future. We can only speculate, but we have to deal with the problems we have today, the social media we have today, the videos, the porn, the drugs, the fentanyl. We have to deal with that today, and I can't go down the road of, well, if my kid was back in the 80s, he would have never. No, they're never coming back. Those days are never coming back. I honor them. I remember them, and I love them, the good times. But I can't. I can't compare I can't compare the generations like that. Like, oh, we need to bring back, I don't know, Nintendo or freaking whatever.
I understand. Societies always change. Technology always change. Circumstances always change. But the problem is, when principles change, usually it's not in the better direction. You don't see good change come about unless it's intentional. It's natural
What do you
for
mean?
things to decay in some way. For what what do I mean? In order to make something better, it takes intentional effort, because otherwise, if you don't care to put the effort into it, you're not going to get an improvement out of it. Whether that's relationships, whether that's your own skill set, whatever it is. Everything left alone on its own is going to get worse. Whether you're talking about, how your pets and everything are with you, if you start ignoring them, they're going to end up having their behavior change just a couple of months down the line. If you were, if you left Gilly alone and didn't pay her no mind,
What'd you
she's
do?
going to act different.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That's another generational change. I bet in our grandparents' generation, how many of the dogs were inside dogs? People used to have dog houses. Now we treat our dogs and our cats like members of the family. That's another thing that changed. Personally, and this is my bias, I'm totally biased on this, but I think it's a good thing. Some other people, some older people are like, you let your dog sleep in the bed? Are you kidding me? But that's another way we've changed. And, Off Track's usually like a silly show. I'm sorry, guys. We are shooting from the hip.
Today.
We're shooting from the hip tonight. We don't have Rusty or Knights. We're shooting from the hip. It's a serious show, but I'm enjoying it. If you guys, post questions, call Kinsey. If you have his number, call Kinsey. We would love to invite you into the conversation also.
For sure. And I'll have some jokes on the other side of this.
Or you can go ahead and shoot me a message on Messenger or something, and I'll go ahead and send you my number back, depending on who you are, if I trust you or not, and then we can go ahead and bring you into this. So,
Yeah,
Timmy, spare
go.
the rod, spoil the child is modern day proverb on the wisdom of discipline.
that is a biblical principle right there along on its own. But here's the thing:
Don't
if
get me
there is a
started.
place for corporal punishment, it's not going to be effective if that's your first go-to. The whole point of it is dramatic as it is.
Timmy called
save
you
it
Ellen.
for the drastic things.
Timmy,
Ellen?
yeah.
Man, that's rough. You hear that music now?
I do hear that.
That
Good
comes
job.
through, but my original sound is on, okay?
Yay!
We're going to be back in 2 minutes. Well, I did have somebody send me an "Am I the asshole" scenario here, so we could go ahead and start that out with the next time around. If I'd say if you all want, but it looks like that I can't see SoCal. She's probably on the run somewhere anyhow.
No, I'm not. I'm battling the gnats slash mosquitoes. That's why I'm constantly moving. I'm sure I'm so neurotic to some people who are like, what the hell is happening? I'm like, listen, things are touching me constantly out here. I'm just battling them. But anyway, but I want to insert a couple just like little fun things, like I told you, I read on the internet. I'm about to put one in the chat right now just so they can laugh. There we go. And
Well, then
everybody in the chat, what up?
if you want to save one for the show and not just put it in the chat, we can start out with one or two of those, and then we can work up to the "Am I the asshole" part there. That way we'll have a breather before we get all so serious again.
Yeah, I put one in the chat, but I have plenty to go.
Wow,
So-
serious.
I know, right?
God.
Maybe I should top off my drink. How much do I have? How much time? 30 seconds?
You probably got more than that.
Okay, let me just top it off. It's pretty much 3/4 the way full. I don't even need to top it off, but I'm gonna. What?
Wait a minute. Houston. I think, according to this backing
not-
track, we're on.
You do sound a little funny right now.
We're back on already, and we didn't even know it. Can you believe that?
No, I don't believe that at all.
You don't believe that at all? I
As
believe.
smooth as
I,
this-
it's just me and you, Steven. We just thought that we went on a break when actually we talked through our break because I was on the wrong section of the backing track.
I might just sleep all night.
Oh, hell, this will make a good promo, won't it?
This is like really seriously derailed tonight.
Oh, my goodness. I don't think that it's ever been this derailed. Hey, Melissa, you ain't going to believe this crap. You want to hear it? You're already sitting down. Stay sitting down unless you're really stressed out, and then if you're really stressed out, then you can stand up.
No, I'm good.
Oh my goodness!
Do you
Can
want to
you
hear the
believe it?
Do you want to hear the bad news?
Mm-hmm.
We're on.
What are you drinking, Melissa? By the way,
I was I was on the wrong section of the backing track that I was given, and I did not realize that we missed out on the music going out into the break. So the last music we heard was the music coming back from the break. Isn't that wonderful?
We are #derailed.
big time. That's what chat's saying too. Okay, so just for the heck of it, I'm going to throw out a couple things. I threw something out in the chat just to be silly. But I'm going to throw a couple things out there. So if a pig loses its voice, is it disgruntled?
Oh, man.
Come on.
Well,
now.
it's definitely not horse.
Well, if he gets a
What?
cut, does he put on some ointment?
Oh, no, you didn't. That's funny.
Actually, bacon grease would be better.
Okay, so why is a person who plays the piano called a pianist, but a person who drives a race car is not called a racist? See, they want me to say pianist, but that's not correct.
See?
So, stop it.
See, you just think they're not called a racist, okay? That's it
Ah.
depends on the driver.
Would you rather have
Okay.
roses on your piano or tulips on your organ?
Oh, well, hey, tulips on my organ always works.
I plead the Fifth Amendment in that right now.
If it's true that we are here to help others, then what exactly are the others here for? That's all I'm saying.
Ooh,
Okay.
nice one.
If lawyers are disbarred and clergymen defrocked, then doesn't it follow that electricians can be delighted, musicians denoted, cowboys deranged, models deposed, tree surgeons debarked, and dry cleaners depressed? What do you think?
Aren't most cowboys already deranged?
Possibly.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Gilly had something to say about that.
Yeah, she's crazy right now.
Hey, one last one, and then you can go to the seriousness, and then, whatever. What hair color do they put on the driver's license of bald men? I definitely want to know that.
Do we have any
They probably
bald
leave
people?
it blank.
Oh, see what you did there? Uh-oh.
I see. I see. You didn't think I was going to come back with that answer, did you?
Stuff it.
No, but you're more than welcome to go out now. I will stay quiet. Let's hear. You said you had another cool.
So, yeah. Somebody sent me it's kind of like an "Am I the asshole" scenario.
No.
Okay.
So
we like
I
those.
figured, I'll go through with this. Okay, according to this, which was sent to me from your briskets. Okay.
Ooh, brisket.
About
I
somebody
love my
that
brisket.
yeah. This is referring to somebody that neither one of us probably has any clue who the person is. Can you hear Melissa?
Yes, I'm just trying to get Gilly under control. I'm wrangling.
I
her.
want to. Sticker in on the scenario.
Okay.
My husband of 6 years is divorcing me because he discovered that our first.
No.
Kinsey, you got
Is
to
it
do that
me or
again.
him?
You got to do
No,
that
it's
again.
just
I didn't
him.
hear
All
you.
right, now
Do that again, Kinsey. We couldn't hear you. You're cutting out.
Oh, thank God.
Do
Have
what
that with
again?
me.
The whole
The
thing.
entire thing.
it might be my.
High five, Steven.
If it's the signal, it's the wonderful Wi-Fi I'm operating off of out here. There's probably nothing I'm going to be able to do about it.
It's a glorious shit show.
Am I here?
Yes.
You are now.
Are you? Are you here?
Wow.
Did you ever get that internet box thing, like the anywhere signal?
All
Uh-oh.
I want to say no.
No.
What's you
I
got
need
being
my-
negative? All right.
Yeah. Am I here yet?
Yes.
Maybe.
How about now? I'm here.
Well,
Oh man.
I don't know, but what Wombat Mommy wants to know is Melissa wearing Hooters girl shorts? Are you wearing Hooter girl shorts, Melissa? Hey.
no, I wish I were. I want to wear their whatever they put on their nylons or their legs to make them all look perfect. I wish I had Hooters girl shirts. How am I gonna? No, I'm wearing like leggings.
Show us, baby.
Am I here now?
Yes.
Do you
Maybe.
think that I'm solid enough in here to where I can go
Yes.
ahead and continue on?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
All
Yes.
right. Okay. Well, then I don't have to go to my backup plan yet. Okay. A husband of 6 years is divorcing me because the firstborn is not our child. A friend sold me out, and my husband demanded a paternity test, which came out negative. The child is 5 this year. Am I wrong to think my husband is overreacting? He loves this child and has been a good father from birth. Why is he letting a mere test challenge all this? The child is still the same, intelligent, humble, loving, and cute. Why can't we pray about it and invite God into our house? I am so drained right now. Oh my goodness we had to throw God in the last two sentences.
Don't get me started.
We're not supposed to talk about that in this show, are we?
Don't get me started.
Thoughts?
Did you read that
Please
article
don't.
I told you about anyway? No? Okay. No, she's completely dismissing the fact. So from what I understand at the beginning of your story was he just found out that their firstborn isn't his, so she cheated on him.
Yep,
Or
Told somebody else because somebody else told him.
yeah.
That
That-
seems problematic.
Yeah, but are you going to be a dad or you want to be a father? There's lots of fathers out there. A dad is one that steps up.
I think he might be struggling with the fact, like, oh, so were they married at the time that this child was conceived, or just together, or did she say she was pregnant and then he married her thinking it was his kid, and maybe it was ambiguous, like maybe she never said, "Oh, this is your child." Like, what are the circumstances? Because it definitely sounds sus AF. Look at me being all cool, talking all that crap.
Yeah, girl.
Well, they said 6 years married and 5-year-old child, right?
Yes.
Okay, then they were married. That's super douchey. She's playing a
Well-
victim card.
Yes.
It depends. 5 years, 6 years, 9 months.
But they were probably
overlap.
dating before they got married, right? I mean,
She still was doing something funky before the marriage.
yeah.
No, it's not cool, but still, since you're already there and since you've listen, blame that on the woman, right? But not the child. You can still step up and be a dad.
There you
can
go.
still step up and be a dad. The woman is a whole nother thing. If you want to tell her to go kick rocks, go do it.
Kinsey, what was the
But-
question?
Well, let's see. The question was, why can't we pray about it and invite God into our house? My guess is,
She's
He wanted a
using God.
divorce, right?
well, I mean, he's getting a divorce, but I think that part of our, this is reminding me of what was said last night during our recording and stuff that we were having.
Ooh, a shameless
What show
promotion.
would that be?
What a
No,
shameless
that
promotion.
would be the Tin Can Radio program that airs on the Mojo 50 stream on 3 p.m. Central Time on Sundays. So
Yeah, so
it's
if you-
already
If you want to know what we talked about, the question was, I was asking questions about sins and do they all hold the same weight, the same water? Is premarital sex or adultery or those kind of sins the same weight as LGBTQ? We don't have to answer this now. If you want to know what we talked about, shameless promotion for Kinsey's radio show.
Right. But the part that I'm wanting to bring in here, another person on the show that we referred to as Patrick, he was bringing up on if somebody done an atrocity to, say me in this case, somebody shot me to kill me, and I was dying, I would suffer from the injury, the shot in the head. My family would miss me to a degree, but eventually time would heal on some of the wounds, and my suffering would be, even if I'm aware of it, depending on the injury, is going to be going through until I die. Okay? And then once I die, it's effectively, from my perspective, over, and a stage of mourning and recovery for whoever else. As opposed to the scenario that we have right here, when somebody pledges and dedicates a portion of their life to you, and then they find out that, like in this case, the vows were not held true, they were not honest. It is such a betrayal that is very difficult for a number of people to get over. So depending on how everything happens in this scenario, there might not be anything better to do than to have the divorce and figure out how you're going to care for the children. Because there is going to be such a rip and a tear that is going to be difficult, if possible at all, to even just get past, much less fully repair between the husband and the wife in this scenario.
And at some point, you got to assume if it's, I don't want to say it's public knowledge, but obviously she had some friends that knew, or he wouldn't have found out. So at some point, that kid is going to find out, oh, that's not really my dad. And depending on how young the kid is when that happens, that could be ugly too. That's a bad situation all the way around.
Lifelong secrets, when they're found out, has such a great potential to be considered amongst the worst betrayals that you can run across.
Don't get me started. Don't do an ancestry DNA test.
Okay.
Well, in my case, I mean, it's the best of something and the absolute worst of something. The best part is I have a brother. The worst part is my parents' constant deceit. Don't get me started.
Okay, so I got
finding the diamond in the rough.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
I thought about how mothers feed their babies with tiny little spoons and forks.
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered, what do Chinese mothers use? Do they use toothpicks?
Oh my goodness.
Are you all right, Stephen? It looked like you were this close to being able to express to us in great detail how your beverage smelled.
That was a close call. And this stuff would have burned going through my nose, I'm pretty sure.
What you drinking, Jen?
Oh, me? What am I drinking?
Yeah.
Is it an appletini?
It's called a Christmas drink. So it's got a little bit of Fireball whiskey, just a little, like half shot, some vodka, pressed apple juice, which I absolutely love, and a tiny little splash of cranberry with a little spattering of cinnamon. So it's a taste of Christmas. That's what I call it anyway.
Well, we can't get past Halloween first? Come on.
That sounds so good.
Okay. If a cow laughed, would milk come out of her nose? I'm just asking.
Depends. She might have been drinking Fireball.
Oh, true.
You know why? You know why cows wear bells around their neck?
Huh?
Because their horns don't work.
There you go.
Dang. Whatever happened to preparation A through G? Just asking.
Bunch of
For a friend.
assholes.
You don't ask the questions unless you really want to know the answers, SoCal.
Oh, okay. So, true. Why do banks charge a fee due to insufficient funds when they already know you're broke? I've always wanted to know that. Always.
Why do you drive in a
I'm
parkway
broke.
and park
Shit
in a
didn't
driveway?
Go through. Right? Shit didn't go through. So you're going to charge me a $35 fee? That's helpful. I mean, just saying. And it goes on both ends, right? So, oh, wait.
Yep.
It goes on both ends.
We're
bank
not messing with both
and
ends.
the person. This is one of my favorites, though. If people evolved from apes, why are there still apes? That's
because they evolved from a common ancestor. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to ruin the joke. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. No.
Why do they call them? Why do they call them buildings when they're already built?
The same reason you drive on a parkway and park in a driveway.
Exactly. Okay, Gilly. We only got a few more minutes.
Is there ever a day that mattresses are not on sale? Honestly.
All right.
Why?
Do we want to hit a story here? Because I can
let's
just give
do
you
it.
the headline real quick, and we'll go ahead and do. Okay, here's the headline. Any comments that you have after I read this headline, go ahead and let them rip. Drunk driver blames Jesus for taking the wheel.
Victim. What state was this? Was this Florida?
Stafford, Virginia. 35-year-old woman was charged with a DUI in the early hours of Sunday, September 17th, according to the report on the Stafford County Sheriff's Office page. Sergeant E.E. West and Deputy W.E. Trainer responded to the 700 block of Mountain View Road for a single vehicle accident approximately 3:09 a.m. Once on the scene, officers found that a vehicle had collided with a tree, which probably jumped right out in front of them, and they left that part out of the story. The car's occupants were alert and had sustained only minor injuries. During the initial interview, a female told police officers she and friends were driving home from a nightclub. No way! What happens at nightclubs that would cause somebody to lose control of their driving anyway?
Not drinking for sure.
Anyhow, that was whenever the vehicle had run off the road and struck the tree when they were driving home like that. When the officers inquired which occupant had been driving, the female advised that her friend Jesus was the driver.
Oh.
Can you imagine that?
Well, take the wheel, baby.
He probably doesn't know how to drive.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it was that or not. He could have been driving it correctly because before the deputies arrived, Jesus had left, according to the report.
He left the building.
He might have raptured him. He might have raptured himself up for all we know.
Mark saved from the rapture the other day, by the way.
You are? Okay. Yeah, it is past the 23rd now. So, I mean, I've been seeing that all over social media myself. People was worried something was going to happen on the 23rd. There were so many different movie references that were played in succession because apparently the Hollywood elite has to know something that we don't. So September 23rd was going to be something awful. Well, if it wasn't yesterday, then I guess it might be a year off. I don't know. I'll have to wait till next year. What do you think?
Yeah, well, just so you know, you guys listening to Off Track right now, believe it or not, you guys are smarter than most of those people that are doing the advertising. Smarter than those Hollywood people, those sports people. And I think that's why we are so gullible for misinformation. We see somebody on TV and we think that they're smarter than us. And they are not. But they're just being coached by people that know psychology to sell shit to you. Right, Kinsey?
Sometimes.
No,
by the way,
we
in our
get duped
Jesus
all the
Take
time.
the Story, the person, but the person in the Jesus Take the Wheel story finally fessed up to being the driver, and that Jesus was not actually driving. Apparently, they were inebriated enough to think that that was a good idea to get them out of trouble, I guess.
So maybe. Jesus wasn't there at all? Not even in the passenger seat?
Well,
he was probably looking disapprovingly
I don't know. This is Virginia, so he probably wasn't there at all. I mean, if this would have been Arizona or California, he probably would have been hiding in the trunk.
Hey! By the way, I have a question, and I know you guys have done this before, so I'm totally cutting you off. Sorry, but why do people run over a string a dozen times with their vacuum cleaner, then reach down, pick it up, examine it, and then put it down again to give the vacuum one more chance? Y'all know you've done that. Come on now.
It's very presumptuous of you.
Put it down again?
Oh.
I don't put it down again. If it failed it all the number of times, I want to know why it failed, and if I can't see why it failed, I throw it away, because that's insanity, to do something else again and expect a different result.
Are you thinking that you've never done that? Like, you're like, no, this vacuum's going to pick up this string. Have you never done that?
How often, SoCal, How often do you think I operate a vacuum cleaner? Come on.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's that. First of all. Okay. Here's my other question I want to pose to you.
Not to mention, we only got inside the house right now 2 rooms that have any kind of carpet in them. And one of them is one of the children's bedroom, and I ain't vacuuming that because that ain't my job. That ain't my room. You can do it.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Okay, but I also that's an amazing, lots of good points there, Kenzie. I do have one other question to pose. Like, how do those dead bugs or live bugs get into the enclosed light fixtures? How does that happen?
There are cracks that they can slip through. As a matter of fact, you want the creepy answer? If there's a number of them that are
Thank you,
little
Melissa.
cockroaches, if there's a number of them that are little cockroaches, you'll be surprised how narrow of a space that a cockroach can slip into. Their body is pliable enough to where they literally squeeze themselves through small cracks to get into places that other bugs cannot get to.
You said cracks a couple times, so we're on this.
Anyway, we ain't got a whole lot longer left. So since we've been a little bit sponsor short and off the track like ridiculously nobody's business, go ahead and look for, what is it? Yeah, we got things to look for. We got different sponsors we can mention, like Ramika Designs. You can go ahead and get some stuff. Go over to OffTrack Syndicate. We got a shop somewhere in there. What's the website again? Where's Chris at? Chris knows all this stuff.
Shop that
bags for
OffTrack.
Shelly. Look them up. Yeah. I mean, a number of these things that I don't ever remember because I try to, do as little as I can on these. So I just
Warhorselegacy.org, please.
Warhorselegacy.org got mentioned in the first hour, though. They got a proper mention.
Yes,
Everybody
they will.
else
They
hadn't
always
because
will.
we've been running with about ready to pull our hair out. I got a good portion of my hair cut off this morning, so I don't have as much to pull out as I used to.
Is
I
it
can't get a
Rusty's
grip on
fault?
it now.
Who are we blaming this on, Rusty or Knights?
Oh, definitely Rusty.
We're gonna,
Definitely.
what? Yeah, we can blame Rusty, I guess. We can go
Yeah,
ahead
he'll
and do
say
that.
whatever,
It's all his
whatever.
fault.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, Rusty's going to shrug it off, no problem. But really, we know the one that holds all of this stuff together so that it doesn't fall apart is Knights, and he called out too. I mean, both of them just completely let us down today.
The two people that everybody wants to see. But thank God
Well,
we
the
got
two
Steven in SoCal because otherwise it'd be crickets.
The two people that are more technologically advanced on this stuff and is ready to share the things in the show and ready to play the other clips and all that. And they don't have to do it from out in some middle of some parking lot out there in another state away from their house either. So, I mean, I'd like to think that I was doing something maybe. It's not good enough, but at least I tried. If we're gonna blow it, we're gonna blow it big, right?
Ciao, Jen. Wombat Mommy's not coming back. I mean,
what? Not next week anyway. And watch, next week will be amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting up with us, guys.
I think I'm going to get sick next week. I'll just tell you all right now, so it's not a surprise. Because I already feel a little stuffy and my throat sore. So yeah.
I'm gonna call in sick too.
Me too.
Good night, all.
Wait, you need a break? We're still on YouTube. We're off of Mojo.
Wait a moment, we're on YouTube?
Yeah, hit the like button, please.
So this would be a bad time to say that I'm going to be faking being sick, because I'm sure I can make arrangements to get sick. I'll just go ahead, and not wash my hands after going to a public restroom or something. Because there's plenty of them out here.
Ew.
Ew, are you at a Love's or where are you?
Pilot.
Okay.
Pilot.
We're definitely not going to Pilots for the next week.
All right. Hey, thanks you guys for hanging out with us over there in the YouTube, and thanks for chatting with us and on our off night. We really appreciate it, and thank you again to Steven and SoCal for hanging out with us. It really It helped so much. You have no idea how much we appreciate it.
I appreciate the
Seriously.
invite.
Thank
Glad I
you.
could do it.
I'll learn from this stuff, and I'll probably still mess up next time that two people can call out. But at least the next time, I'll probably be making different mistakes to screw up the show.
I hear you.
Hey,
Me
and
too.
Steven, if next time we're ever together, I hope to make it come out your nose. That's all I'm saying.
What?
You know what I'm
I'll be
saying?
much more careful about drinking next time.
If you want to know how that feels, just ask her brisket, because I caused that to happen on more than one occasion to that person.
Okay, we're leaving YouTube. Good night, YouTube.
Good night,